As the NFL world prepares for the final 2 weeks of the pre-draft process, I wanted to send a reminder to Commanders fans out there. Take your favorite draft prospect. Doesn't matter who they are. Take your favorite player on the roster. There is only one man who can single-handedly take the team into or out of the playoffs. That person is Jayden Daniels. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell, and I felt that it was finally an appropriate time to make this video. Over the last couple of months, specifically the last 3 to 4 weeks, there have been some very fiery debates about who is the best rookie prospect for the Commanders. We got a report from Peter Schrager yesterday, shouldn't call it a report, but a mock draft based on his reporting that Sonny Styles was in a great position to go to the Commanders. Posted a video on that, feel free to check it out. Caleb Downs was the most popular draft target when I polled prominent members of the Commanders community. Mansour Delane is someone who has garnered a lot of superlatives, a lot of praise throughout this process. Jeremiah Love and Carnell Tate, they would be excellent offensive additions. They would help supercharge the offense. But as we continue to talk about this, and while I am team hashtag no bad picks at 7, you guys want to join in with me on that, hashtag no bad picks at 7, we are forgetting that there is one man that is the straw that stirs everything. Jayden Daniels. If he is an elite level quarterback, it doesn't matter who they draft. It doesn't matter who is on that team. You want to know how I know? Because I saw him drag the team to the conference championship game in 2024. A couple of standouts, all-pro year from Bobby Wagner, all-pro year from Frankie Louvu, franchise record from Terry McLaurin, but it was a lot of Jayden putting the team on his back at different points of the season. And then you get to 2025, where he's not available, and when he is available, he's not playing up to that same standard, and the team all of a sudden is picking in the top 7 in the NFL draft. So again, with all of this going on revolving around the draft, with all of the conversations about what will the team look like next year with all of these new pieces, these additions in free agency, what is the team going to look like at its quarterback position, and how will that define its season? That's a question that I'm going to try to answer in this video, but before I get to that, make sure you guys are hitting the like and the hype buttons. I don't know what it is with you guys, and specifically, I don't know how I was so fortunate and so lucky to get this community, but I've been looking around at other YouTube videos, just trying to understand what the hype button actually does. My understanding is it shows your video to new audiences, and you guys have just been crushing it, because and this is not to brag at all, because really this is through no doing of my own. This is a thank you and a credit to you guys. The hypes on my videos are like 5 times higher than other videos out there. So thank you all so much for supporting me. Whatever you're doing, make sure you continue to do that, because it's helping clearly. Hit that subscribe button if you are new around here, or if you're a returning viewer and you haven't hit the button. I will be giving away the jersey of the Commanders' first draft pick if I hit 6,000 subscribers before the NFL draft. We have 2 weeks and a day to get 400 subscribers. A little less than that because we hit the 5,600 mark. I don't think we're going to do it, but if we do, again, one of you can win a free jersey. Link to join the Full Command Discord will be at the top of the description of this video. And let's go ahead and let's jump into me trying to answer the question. So as I was preparing my notes for this video, I always put the subject line in bold at the very top line just to kind of remind me of how I'm supposed to segue out of the plug section, which I just did with the like and hype button, how I segue from that into the content of the video. And the bold section on my notes is Jayden Daniels is why nothing else matters. Now, let me be respectful and also let me be fair. The players around him obviously matter. And while I have said before that Jayden won games by himself, dragged the team to the conference championship game, again, you got a really good year from Bobby Wagner, who was an all-pro. You got a really good year from Frankie Louvu, who was an all-pro. Terry McLaurin did set a franchise record for touchdown catches. Players still played well. But when I talk about him dragging the team, I mean in those 3rd down, 4th down situations. The gotta-have-its, the comebacks, the shining moments of the season, the highlight moments, the spectaculars, stepping up in the playoffs, that was Jayden Daniels. And while it might have been a surprise to see him do it as a rookie, it wasn't a surprise to see him do it as Jayden Daniels, if you're following what I'm saying there. This is a guy who consistently overcame odds, gets to LSU, wins the Heisman Trophy. This is a player who has performed at some of the highest levels in football at the levels that he has been in. So yes, we weren't expecting to see that in year 1, but the expectation would be you would want to see it from him, especially with him being the second pick in the draft at some point in his NFL career. Just came earlier than most of us were expecting. No matter what happens in the NFL draft, the team is not good enough as it is currently constructed to support average or even worse than that quarterback play. You can look around the league. You can look at recent Super Bowl champions. Matter of fact, the last two Super Bowl champions, the Seattle Seahawks and the Philadelphia Eagles. It didn't matter what type of quarterback play that they got, as long as it wasn't putrid, they were going to be all right. They were going to win games. Now, maybe they weren't going to win the Super Bowl, but they were going to go 12-5, 11-6, win a playoff game, maybe even two, just because of how good the team was around that quarterback. The Commanders are much improved. I've said it so many times. I loved what AP did in free agency. Odafe Owe and Leo Chanel and Chiga Okonkwo and all of these other players, the Omenahus, the Crosses, the Robertsons, the Settles, run up and down the list. I'm not going to name all of the players, but they have greatly improved this team. But not to the point that, again, they can't escape from getting losing quarterback play. They're not at that level. So adding Caleb Downs, adding Mansour Delane, Sonny Styles, Jeremiah Love won't change that bottom line. Will it make a position better? Yes. Will it make a unit better? Yes. Does it vault the Commanders into the status of we are an elite all-around team? No. They're not that level. So if the Commanders want to have any hope of getting to where they want to go, they need Jayden Daniels to once again perform as an elite quarterback. You'll have the exceptions of the teams that don't. And again, just to go through them, the Seahawks and the Eagles, they did not. But they got good quarterback play. And when it was time for those quarterbacks to step up, Jalen Hurts played arguably the best game of his NFL career in the Super Bowl. And I give him all the credit in the world for that. Sam Darnold went toe-to-toe with an MVP-level Matthew Stafford and played just as well, if not even better than he did when the Seahawks beat the Rams in the conference championship game. Yes, the muffed punt and some other moments obviously put the Rams further behind the eight ball. Not saying Stafford lost in that game, but Darnold was irrevocably elite in that game. Now, if you look at your other contenders around the league, the teams that aren't built as well overall, they depend on the strong quarterback play. You've got the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, the Bills with Josh Allen, the Ravens with Lamar Jackson, the Rams, even though they are a very, very well-constructed team. I mean, they have the reigning MVP at their quarterback, Drake May. I mean, the Patriots defense stepped up in the playoffs, but throughout the regular season, who was the quarterback that was, winning them the games? Who was in MVP conversation? It was Drake May. Past Super Bowl champs, the Buccaneers with Tom Brady. Yes, a very good team, but they weren't winning the Super Bowl without Brady. They weren't coming close. The Chiefs with Mahomes, same thing. The Rams with Stafford when they beat the Bengals, same thing. The Patriots with Tom Brady. All of these teams had elite quarterback play. And Jayden Daniels, simply put, needs to be that guy. Now, the good news is that he can be, because he already was. If you look at Jayden's rookie year, he finished 4th in the entire NFL amongst all quarterbacks in EPA per play. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I believe the players above him were Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Jared Goff. I think Goff was 3rd. I know Allen was there. I'm just trying to remember if it was Lamar, but I do think it was Lamar who was also in that group. So if we look at the database of EPA per play, and this is according to RBSDM, which has a database that goes back to 2002. When we look at only the playoffs, Jayden Daniels created more points for his team than expected than all but 4 other quarterbacks in the history of the playoffs, going back to 2002. The players who are above him, Nick Foles, ironically, is number 1 because, boy, I mean, he didn't get to play in the playoffs all that much, but when he did, something came over him. He goes on to win the Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP. Colin Kaepernick, who made the Super Bowl. Kurt Warner, who was a Super Bowl MVP. And then Brad Johnson, who you might not expect to hear, but kind of similar to Nick Foles, didn't get a ton of playoff reps, and his team did win the Super Bowl. So those are the 4 players who are ahead of Jayden Daniels in terms of points added above expectation, EPA per play. He is ahead of Patrick Mahomes. He is ahead of Jordan Love. He is ahead of Aaron Rodgers. He is ahead of Matthew Stafford, and he is ahead of Josh Allen. Those are the 5 next players on the list right behind him. So as a reminder of what he did in the playoffs, and I'm sure you guys are going to be watching clips at this point thinking of how I'm going to edit the video. He goes 24 of 35 for 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 36 yards rushing against the Buccaneers in a walk-off on the road in his playoff debut. Commanders were 3-point underdogs in that game. Jayden gets over 300 total yards, doesn't turn the ball over, and drives them down for the game-winning kick. He goes 22 of 31 for 299 yards and 2 touchdowns with 51 rushing yards against the Lions. He had more than 200 yards passing at halftime. Again, over 300 yards. This time he's at 350 total yards, multiple touchdowns, doesn't turn the football over. In the conference championship game against the Eagles, he's 29 of 48 for 255 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 48 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. The interception was at the end when he was just chucking it, knowing that the game was over. He was let down by fumbling teammates, and he actually still had a higher QBR than Jalen Hurts did in that game, even though Hurts was, forget how many yards he had, I think it was in the 200s, didn't throw that many incompletions, had like 3 or 4 touchdowns, and QBR still said Jayden Daniels played the better game. That's what he did as a rookie. When you watch these plays that he is making, it's impossible to say that he is not capable of being an elite quarterback. It's impossible to say that he is not capable of carrying a franchise. Now that brings us to 2025, because professional sports are a what have you done for me lately style of business. We all know the injuries to everyone on the roster, and obviously that includes Jayden. And when you're constantly going in and out of the lineup, and you don't know when you're going to be playing, and knowing how routine-oriented Jayden Daniels is as a person by nature, I can understand that being pretty difficult. The lack of consistent practice dating back into the offseason. Think about what we saw from the Commanders defense. Clearly one of the worst in the NFL last year. Back in the offseason, the story coming out of camp was the defense looks amazing. This looks like a top 10 defense. They are dominating the offense, which was just one of the most prolific in the league. The best 4th down team the league had ever seen, conference championship game appearance, all that. It was the defense was shutting them down. And then we realized, oh, well, the defense wasn't actually that good because we saw how they played in the regular season. Well, how did that happen? The guards weren't there. Sam Cosmi wasn't practicing. Brandon Coleman wasn't practicing. The receivers weren't there. Noah Brown wasn't practicing. Terry McLaurin wasn't practicing. His top 2 targets. At the time, Brian Robinson Jr. was the starting running back, and then they traded him. You can't get ready to play for the season if you don't have the people around you. Like, the people who will be playing in the regular season, if they're not helping you prepare, then how are you actually supposed to get prepared? If you're doing some sort of group project and it requires all of you being on the same page and connected, and maybe you're building a house of cards or something like that, but none of you ever practice together and you don't communicate and you just show up on the day of and you think it's going to happen, it's not going to work out. And of course, that's amplified in a multi-billion-dollar industry that gets hundreds of millions of viewers over the course of a season, right? Probably billions of viewers over the course of the season. Clearly, and just to add this on there, they also were not happy with the job that Cliff Kingsbury did as offensive coordinator. If they were, Cliff would still be in with a job. So for all of those reasons, 2025 fell off of Cliff from 2024. The big question now, and the big joker, is what Jayden Daniels is going to show up. Is it going to be the guy who played like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL? No doubt about it. Got his team to the Final Four despite the talent deck being stacked against him. Win 2 games on the road in the playoffs as an underdog in your first playoff experience? Or is it going to be the guy who looked a little overwhelmed, looked out of sync with his players, suffered a lot of injuries, and ultimately had one of the most forgettable seasons that he's probably had as a player? I mean, I'm not all that familiar with his high school career. I know bits and details. I know that he transferred out of Arizona State, but I would imagine that last year was probably the most disappointing sports year of his career. So that's the question that remains to be answered. And again, with all due respect to whoever the Commanders draft, because I love all of those guys at 7. Hashtag no bad picks at 7. Sonny Styles, Mansour Delane, Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Love, none of them change the fact that this team can hit borderline championship contention if Jayden Daniels is a top 5 quarterback, or they could finish with a losing record if he's not going to make a positive impact yet again. So what I want you guys to do is go to the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts and your expectations for Jayden are heading into his third season. There's been a lot of draft talk recently, and I'm the one making the videos. So yeah, I mean, like, I'm controlling that, but we're taking a break here. I want us to talk about the players on the roster, and I want us to talk about the guy. You know, we analyze Quan Martin and Mike Sainristil and Frankie Louvu and Terry McLaurin and these faces that we are familiar with. But Jayden is the best player on the team, the most important player on the team, and I think we should have a discussion about him. So again, whatever thoughts you guys have, make sure you throw them in the comment section below. Hit the like and the hype button if you guys are enjoying the content here. Again, you guys have been crushing it, and not trying to sound braggadocious in any way. Like, genuinely, I'm just trying to be as thankful as I can to you all because you guys have been killing it, and it's been helping me. It's been helping the channel, so thank you so much. Subscribe if you are new around here, and if you want a chance to win the jersey of the Commanders' first draft pick. And yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for me here in this video. I'm feeling the itch. I'm feeling the bug today. I mean, it's only the morning, but I can tell I'm getting a little antsy. So maybe I'll be back with a live stream or a video later today. Kind of depends on what happens, but be on the lookout as always because whatever's going on, I'm going to keep you guys on top of it. So that's going to do it for me here today. Appreciate y'all joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great day.